Good afternoon, everybody. This is a watercolor challenge. What I'm going to try to do is attempt to not use a pencil in creating this image. There's a reason for that. Pencil can be very inhibiting. So if we can manage to do without actually drawing any lines, we've got a better chance of winning, shall we say. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the background so that the shape of the face is visible. And I'm saying because I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this, but we'll give it a whirl. Oh, colours, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. To my mind, this looks a bit like a Prussian blue. It certainly looks to be more of a greeny blue in this particular manifestation. There's touches of purple down here, which I might strengthen. And of course, there's the dark sepia color for the final thing that you put on. So we'll see how I get on. So I want Prussian blue, which is right by the leg of the thing that's holding up the camera. Now, one of the things about Prussian blue, of course, is that it's pretty strong stuff. I have dampened my palette first so that there's plenty of it's allowed the paints to soften. And I need to start somewhere where it doesn't matter if there's a line. So what I'm going to do is start round about here, try to work up the side and round this sort of area, and see how I get on from there. So round about here, now this is where my lack of drawing skills is going to land me in stuck, but nothing venture. So we've got that, and we can put that in. So I'm round about there. It comes out here, goes up straight, comes out there. So I'm trying also not to use the point of the brush. I'm trying to use the side of the brush. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm here. So I need to come back to allow for that white bit. And there's a sort of raggy bit around here. I am using the point there. Right, so that comes. Now, the thing between these two white wings is dark, so I can go over that later. So I'll ignore it for the time being. This comes down here. Now then, that isn't far enough over. That needs to come a lot further over than I'm allowed for, because that is central to his face. I can't have the center of his face there. So you've got to keep your eye on where you're going, which is what I wasn't doing. And this comes over here. It comes in there, so that is about there. Right, this, now that is higher than this bit here. This comes from the band, so it's more there. Then we come straight down opposite there, about there. And it curves round. And then we come down here. There's his scarf, and his chin, so his scarf's about there. Scarf comes about there. Looks like a pineapple, doesn't it? And then we go out there. Right, okay, so that's the background, more or less. It's not brilliant, but like I say, nothing venture, nothing win. Right, now then, if I look at that, there are certain areas which are quite darkly coloured. And there's a bluey cast to them. Not up here, but certainly over the face, the side of the face. I think I'll make that a bit paler. There's that thing that sticks out. There's the band. Right, so we've got the face here. What's happened?
You lost your picture.
Oh, okay. I probably touched it with my head. Done. Right. Right. I'm being a bit careful here because there are white lines. I don't need to worry too much about the nose. That's okay down here. And that there is a bit strong, so I'm just going to fade it out a bit over there. Right. So if you put in the top edge and then you approach the line from underneath, you can get quite a slender line. There we are, there's the eye. And then we put in this under there. And then this just comes down here pretty much all the way down this side of the face. There is a sharp line on the nose. This is quite dark down here, not as dark as that, so let's take some of the paint off. So we can just sweep that out down there. But here, I don't want this here to be as sharp as that. So I'm just running over it with a clean damp brush so that you don't get a sharp edge. And we'll just pull that down there. So that seems to be all right. Right, so we've made a start. We've got him in a little bit. Now let's see what we can do to characterize this a bit more. While it's wet, I'm going to run in some dark paint here. Now this paint is thicker, so it won't move quite so much. You can see, although it's dry, it's wet, it's not moving very much at all. Now I've got to allow for that nostril, so I can pull that round there, bring this down. Oh, I've got quite a sharp edge here, which I don't want. Now, if I pick up some dark paint again, I need to go in. I want to work higher up, so I'll push the brush further out. That part there is quite dark. And because there's an edge up there, a dry edge, it won't run into that white bit that we did. This comes down here. And then this fades out over here. And again, we want it quite dark here, over the eyebrow. Whoops, sorry. There we are, that's life, isn't it? Don't think it's done any real damage. So I've just added some water to that to fade it off a little bit. Now then, we've got a dark line down the nose. But there's a little patch of light just there. This is running back, so I want to emphasize that back to what it was before, if I can manage it. This comes down to the nose and joins there. This goes round and just a bit of dark there. Right, and we've got his lip. I think we might need to take out a little bit of that there. So his lips come round here. And again, we've got his chin quite dark, so we need to put the darker paint in. The light is catching him just a little bit on this side. Really dark paint, practically neat for the top of the scarf. And for the start of the knot there. And that comes down. Again, try to use the thickness of the brush and the thinness of the brush to help you. So she, as if she knew what she was doing. Right, now this one comes around in a curve. Because it's this comes down to right. Now then we need to pull that down. I don't want to come too near. I'm going to see if I can leave just a thin line between that very dark part. So I can pull this chin down a bit further. The neck, actually. Very neat paint to make the folds. This one thickens as it comes towards the... Now, don't be tempted just to put in, oh, lines around there because that's what's there. Try to look and see what the lines have done. After all, the fellow who made the thing was very particular about how he did this. Getting it as exact as he could. Right. Now then, let's have a change of colour. I'll add a bit of burnt sienna to that. It gives me a sort of brown. And up here, we do go into a sort of brown in the middle area. On this side, the eyebrow is showing the shadow underneath. And there's a sort of scoop here. Not quite deep colour, I need to make it darker. Darker paint is more paint, less water. That's better. And then here, I've got a, that's the nose there. And he's got a tash, which is altering the shadows on his face. And when we come round here, gone again.
Yeah.
Right, now then, I want to encourage that to rise up. We want to encourage it across here. Right. Now this area around here, where it defines his moustache, oh, we want quite dark paint down here, defining the bottom of the mouth. And he's got a beard, hasn't he? So we can, which is more evident on this side. The thin line. Holding his headdress on, I think. Now, I don't want to put that eye in while that's all wet because I'm going to put my fingers on top of it and that wouldn't help at all. So we'll go up here and see what we can do with the headdress. This continues up here. and then curves round. And if I take the ultramarine, the burnt sienna, and put it in here, and there is a touch of light there, so try not to join it up. You just got to keep your eye on the various lines and angles that are appearing. Now we've got the dark mark there. He's got a sort of, I think this is his hair, so there's the center part in here. And this is coming this way. And that's catching the light and then goes darker there and curls off down there. And there's a bar up above, about there, which joins onto this bit coming down here. So I can make that a bit bigger. That bar stays there. Then we've got a thin line coming down here. And I can get the paint to work properly. We've got quite a nice curvy bit around here. I've lost the line up at the top here. I might be able to reinstate it by putting it down a bit darker, or maybe by using white paint. It's problematic. Pardon, dear? It's not brilliant. However, we're getting there slowly. Now, I think we're a bit far out here. Where's the brown? So we've got his scarf coming down here. And then his shoulder is beginning of. So I've got to repaint this side anyway, because I haven't put enough paint around here. I didn't get the line right to begin with. Right, well, he's decidedly wobbly because that isn't square the way it ought to be over his thing. It could be resurrected with gouache if I was keen on doing it that far, but this is more of an exercise in seeing what is possible. What can I do? Why do I need to learn to draw better? Oh, it's gone too far. This eye, of course, is darker too, isn't it? So, although those feathery things, whatever they are upstairs, are misplaced, we can still put a bit of shading on them to make them look a little bit more like they belong. So there's the colour to start with. And then if I use a damp brush, I can just pull that colour up so that it fades into the whatever it is there. It's quite dark around the edge there. So if I get neat paint and put it in, it will I just want to draw that in to get it right. It's mildly better. Right, we need a bit of colouring on this over here to make that go off over here. And I also need to soften these edges here because they're far too hard. I lost track of what I was doing there. How are we doing? Well, he's not brilliant, but he's been fun. I enjoyed doing it. I think I'd make a better shot at it if I tried it again. Put a bit of colour on his neck. And of course, over here he's quite dark too, isn't he? These can be painted darker, provided you don't work at it hard. You can paint on top of existing paint with watercolor, provided you. If you scrub at it, you will get a disaster. Well, you see, I did hurry that eye and I did get it wrong. That's life. Still, this was meant as a sort of rainy day exercise. And I think that is reasonable. Could have done better if... what do I do?
Actually, and then put your cast shape in and then it should be okay.
Oh, there we are. Right. So give it a whirl. Learn from my mistakes. Symmetry. When I got up here, I should have thought where his nose was in relation to where the separation of these little strange things here are. I've also got his face too long for the width. He's much fatter than I have allowed for, even allowing with a beard. And obviously, I could continue working on this with a fine brush and, you know, putting in all the details and things. But at this point, for half an hour, I don't think, while in nothing that I was going to frame, I don't think it's been too bad an exercise. What it has shown is how much I need to practice my drawing. I hope that is a lesson you will take on board.